Hey, this is episode 11 of the Inside Joseph Campbell series, The Ultimate Boon. So, we're going to be going through some Freudian thinking around infants, how that translates to stories at this stage of the hero's journey, and therefore how it translates to the hero. So, let's get into it. The ease with which the adventure is here accomplished signifies that the hero is a superior man, a born king. Such ease distinguishes numerous fairy tales and all legends of the deeds of incarnate gods. Where the usual hero would face a test, the elect encounters no delaying obstacle, and makes no mistake. The hero, now new and improved, is able to complete their adventure. Where an unprepared hero would face another test, this hero can now navigate the problem with no issue whatsoever. And they draw their ability to do that from the world naval. And when the mother and father are brought together, the hero realizes that they don't need to overcome them, but that they are the new idea or the new way of being that they were looking for. The mother and father are the protectors and givers of the solution to the problem. Okay, so I'm going to lay all this out as simply as I can because it forms the basis for the rest of the episode. Now, the imagery at this point of a story relates to the psychology of an early infant. So when a baby is first sort of removed from its source of nourishment, its source of life, its mother, it fears that it's going to die. And in doing so, it reacts accordingly by crying, therefore attracting the attention of the mother and bringing the source of life back to it. When it does that, it then attempts to extract all nourishment that it possibly can from it in order to survive. And in doing so, fears that the mother is then going to do the same to them. Worrying about the physical self, wishing to then have it restored to full health, and leading to a need for indestructibility, and therefore protection from anything internal or external that can cause them harm. A baby's mind will interpret things through that specific lens, and it will affect all the decisions they make and everything they think and believe as they grow up and into adulthood. And those ideas can be projected onto the societal level, and that's where you create the idea of the medicine man. And there are three main ideas behind this concept of a person. Firstly, that they are a being that is not subject to material corruption. That who they are on the inside is physically different to a regular human being. Number two, they believe that bad things that could corrupt them come from external sources and couldn't possibly come from within themselves. Thirdly, is a contradiction of the second point, in that when they are the external source for other people, that they're trying to help them and not hinder them. Now, the other idea that can exist on a societal level is that of the external soul, that's not affected by injury or death of the physical body, and that it can exist somewhere else. And that gets around the fear of our physical bodies breaking down. Now, those infantile images and ideas are in stories as symbols. And it's because of that that those symbols feel familiar to us. But the problem is that sometimes that feeling can just stay with the symbol, and we don't do the work of figuring out what that symbol represents and working that issue out within ourselves. And it's because it's hard work. And is probably why we end up revering heroes that are doing that work on themselves. Now, having said that, it's important to have a sense of humor around stories, that they are not to be taken literally. The problem with that being, if you take them literally, then you can become obsessed with the object of change rather than the change that happened. The gods and goddesses then are to be understood as embodiments and custodians of the elixir of imperishable being, but not themselves the ultimate in its primary state. Now, what a hero is looking for is a mix of knowledge and ideas that can be retained and sustained in the ordinary world. Now, there are lots of different characters that represent the mother and the father archetype, and they change across time periods and they change across cultures. But those archetypes exist across all those different time periods and across all those different cultures. Now, any of those characters will only give up that knowledge to a hero that is truly worthy. But if they set the standards for that knowledge to be way too high, then a hero has to trick them into giving them what they need to know. It's hard to get past personal limitations and to get to a place of spiritual growth. Now, art, music, storytelling, these are all different things that can help push us past our comfort zone and get us to experience something new. Now, as our mind moves past each of these boundaries and limits, we realize that those limits and boundaries aren't physical at all, but they're all psychological. And realizing that is the pinnacle of heroic achievement. At this point in the journey, both the hero and the father are completely destroyed as individuals. And as with any problem that can possibly exist, it all goes back to some universal mystery. It's the same mystery that's at the start of physics, that blends into chemistry, that blends into biology. We know at some point that each of those things blend into each other, but we don't know the exact point at which physics becomes chemistry or chemistry becomes biology. And it's that same mystery that happens with heroes and their stories throughout time. That font of life is the core of the individual, and within himself he will find it if he can tear the coverings away.